So happy here to be with Héctor, who I'm so grateful to be connecting with, who is an amazing performance artist, dancer, and also has their own company too. And just really feel like we're going to have a really beautiful conversation here today. And I'd love for you, Héctor, if you want to just share a little bit about yourself, let folks know who you are.
Okay, so hello, my name is Héctor Jaime. I am originally from Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico, but moved here to the Bay Area, San Francisco, and Marine for school purposes. I went to Alonso King's Lines Ballet BFA program, which I graduated from there last year, 2 years ago. And since then, I have founded my own dance company, which is called Xochipilli Dance Company, which it's currently having work out there. Uh, and we have traveled to Santa Cruz recently too to be on BB Queer Festival, and on Sia Wasi that was presented here in San Francisco as well. I am a dancer of Sean Dorsey Dance Company, who is led by a trans choreographer who I love, and Dawson Dance Fest, who is led by a queer black choreographer as well. So I'm working you know, for them all, and I love it. And I also teach ballet and contemporary dance at Stapleton School of the Arts.
Oh, wow. So you're connected to so many people and you're really working with a lot of different communities and love hearing how, yeah, diverse your experience is. And I'm curious, to hear a little bit about your origin story or the ways that you got connected to dance, if it's something that you feel like you've connected with your whole life, or is it something that kind of started more with education?
Yeah, of course. Well, when I was back in Mexico, my mom used to dance like folklorico dance, like and to me it was just fascinating how they use color to tell stories and like movement and the dresses, the everything, So I got interested in dance, but I wasn't really interested in dancing folklorico. So when we moved back to Mexicali, I asked them if I could get into dance classes. Uh, my brother and grandpa at that time, rest in peace, I love him. They like kind of laugh and make some jokes, and my mom was like, "No, how dare you? I'm gonna take him right now." So she went and signed me up, And the teacher, my first teacher, I saw them dancing for the first time there, and it was like, oh my god, like this is possible, Like I've never seen a
Mhm.
male dancer live performing, being, and there was some sort of like admiration towards that, because um, all the people were intrigued by it. They were not questioning gender or like what was happening on stage. It was just more about the movement and the ambience that was created, because it was really interesting to see. And since then I got interested. I discovered that he was my teacher, so I got really excited. And
Mm.
since then, it started the journey of just wanting to learn more and more, and understanding where this could possibly take me. Because at that time, like ballet or like dance in general is not, it's not really a career that was a successful one per se, or like there wasn't much success coming out of it, or was seen to not have success after a long term thing, because they were like, what if you get injured? Like that's the first instant thing of people when they think of dancers, pain, right? But there's so much more joy to it than that, and I feel like that's a little bit stereotypical of like the world of dance that they see out there, dance moms or some show where they see
Right.
people screaming at each other, but I found myself researching for more than that, right? So I applied to Lines, which they accepted me. And I was learning English and ballet and philosophy of what this really is. What is there more than just dancing? Like what goes inside it? And what does it take to get to those higher places through movement.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's where it all started. And then I just wanted to, now with my composition work and choreographic work, to bring those worlds into life, and create like art in the beautiful skin of the earth.
Yeah, definitely. And you brought up a couple of things that I feel are pretty interesting, that I'd love to maybe go into a little bit more. One, you brought up gender, which I feel like could be an interesting place to kind of think about, where, I really loved what you shared, where there was a way that your first teacher almost transcended something in their movement, in their energy, and how, he showed up as a dancer. And I'm curious about that, that aspect around gender, and also like how dance could be something that can help like transcend bodies, or help transcend even ideas of bodies or ideas of people and gender. I'm curious about that, if you wouldn't mind kind of,
Yeah, no, of course. And also my ideas and like thoughts about gender in general and in dance, it's kind of like there's a little battle about it, because
mm,
dance, it is genderfied, like there's the male role, there's the female role, there's the point shoes, there's the flat shoes, so there is that. But when people cross that line, and they transcend into just a moving body who is in full control of what they're doing, it transcends into something more than a man and a woman, or the intention that goes. If you put the intention that goes beyond that, the body, the witness is able to see it, and admire it, because yeah, we all acknowledge that bodies are incredible, and to see someone else doing this difficult thing, or like just simply being really intuitive of what they're doing, it really takes you somewhere else, so yeah.
yeah. And how was it for you in terms of, I heard a couple of ways that, maybe there was some like questioning, or even, some concerns that came up around you pursuing this path. One, hearing it might, one way, like it can be like non normative in terms of gender, and then also
Yeah.
hearing that it's like a challenging career, right, that is full of, as you said, pain, also pleasure, and also that might not be financially that stable. And I'm curious, like, what has that journey been like for you in terms of like pursuing your passion, and then also maybe hearing some of these things come up.
Because those things are present, because I am a male looking figure, whatever that means for those out there, but it was one of my worries. Like, are people going to use me as a male, as a female? Because I'm not neither, so, or I don't consider myself neither of those things. But at the end of the day, on this like gender roles, um, I do look like one of them, so it's really interesting to see what they consider a male, because I'm truly not one, like if you see, look at me, the way I move, the way I portray myself, the way I still dance with this person is a relationship of mutualism, that we were both doing a dance together, but it's not like love or passion or these things. I think they just reflect those things just because they see a man and a woman dancing, and that's the image that we are used to see as a society, you know. But when I came across other choreographers that were doing original work, they were not necessarily asking me to be anyone else but myself, and myself is a queer creature that comes and goes from moving from the most masculine way possible to the most soft and tender, which is considered feminine, and movement, it's very outside of the spectrum, and it I don't feel like it fits into that little tiny box, because movement can just be so much, And I think it's just the concept and the idea that gender and movement can have a place together, because we're using it to tell a story of a man and woman, and like they come in and they get married and they get live it happy ever after. And there's the other choreographer's approach where it's more about the movement and the physicality and the work and how much deftness you are able to perform on stage and let other people's have that and make an idea of their own about the work. So it's really much about the approach I've been finding out, in terms of like if gender plays a part in what they're building.
Yeah, and I feel like I definitely agree, and I'm wondering if you found in your time as a dancer, have you found ways of moving that for you as a person have felt euphoric or exciting, or that could actually help you kind of share some of that queerness, some of that like non-binariness or gender expansiveness? Have you found some of that in dance and movement?
um I feel like really just feeling the movement was genderless. I,
Yeah.
I was not feeling feminine or masculine. I was just feeling tingly sensations in my back and like floatiness in my arms. So it became about texture. It became about like intentionality and that like expression of the inner self that it's able to come up through the body. Um, and it really, every time I move more and I try to like investigate what dance means for me, or my spirituality means for me, it's infinitive, infinite. So therefore I don't see the gender spectrum playing a part of what I construct as a choreographer or how I move as a dancer. um, Nevertheless, I am able to shift that whenever I have to do like a ballet thing and I have to portray this male character. But it is not attached to me. It's attached to the composition and the work.
I love that. I love texture and also like being able to bring something from within out
Yeah.
into the world. And yeah, and I had asked you earlier, and I'm wondering, because I know as an artist myself, I like heard that message around like you're not gonna make it, it's so hard, you're not gonna make money, like,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering like for you, yeah, like what has kept you going, or like what has helped you with that? Because yeah, I know for myself I had to like really like not listen to that or push that aside to be able to continue to go towards my passions.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like it was kind of like a lot of patience. Um, Work will come whenever people see that you're enthusiastic about your work, that you're professional about it, and that you care, and that you're curious. You're curious about everything, all the information, all the knowledge that these people have to share with you. I feel like it should be treasured and like also like share it. Like it's all about continuing this like you should create art. Like it's even if it's not something that it's financially stable and you do it for fun as an outlet, it's all right, but like to create. And I feel like that's the message of all artists at this point, because we do want to see that being out there in the world as opposed of the no's, because that's a very straight answer. And I feel like art is more complex than that, and there's so many approaches to it, like movement, painting, photographing, sculpting, so it's all of these things that can be created. And if you do it for as a career, as a way to support yourself, um, find the connections. Honestly, networking has been the greatest thing that I have encountered throughout my years as a student, dancer, a choreographer, director. People want to help you whenever you see them they see something on you in you that they're like, oh, it's, I think you should show it, you know, like, or simply like you should have made this person, this organization ask for these grants and stuff like that, you know. It's a lot of administration work that it's not taught in schools, and that was not really taught when I was going into lines. No shade, I'm so sorry, but whenever I get into other programs like the Latinx cohort that I am in this year with David Herrera, um, that they taught me how to develop this idea more and more into it became something that it was actually, it had a place to be displayed at, it had a tangible audience, you know, it had a online thing. So art can be displayed anywhere. You know, people now can take a picture and just post it on their Instagram. That is success. You know, like that to me is something that we were not allowed to do before. So you had to go somewhere else where there was art, you know? And that was something that happened to me too. I didn't have access to like so much internet and technology until I came to the US, you know, and like I stay at Dominican and I was like, whoa, like there's so much that I don't know.
Yeah.
And to create that, to create the unknown, honestly, because that's how you find out more about yourself and about the world in general. There is work out there, and if there's not work out there, you create it, you know, and it does pay off because you're putting effort and attention to your art and to yourself, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I love that advice because I think it's so important to remember that, you're not alone, that there are people that we can reach out to, that we can, make those connections to support us in our art. And as you shared, that there are many ways that art can show up, right? That art can be a photo, it can be a performance online, it can be in
Mhm.
person. And even if you're living somewhere where you don't feel like you have those connections, the internet definitely is like has been such a great resource for people. And yeah, and I feel like, even beyond that, I definitely am hearing from you that art is more than just money. Art is more than just a career. It's also a way of living, right? It's a way of
Yes.
organizing your life and also making those connections in your life, not just for career wise, but also for your life, right? That, this is what you're involved in, what you're doing. And I'm curious for you of like, what, was that transition for you of being a dancer and performing into then moving into having your own company? Like, if you wanted to share a little bit about that, what that transition was like, and maybe what it's been like now that you've been in your company, what it's been like to actually kind of move into a different role, especially with what you shared around not learning around administrative stuff or like maybe even business stuff, because I can fully relate to that too as an artist. Like for some reason, they teach us all the art theory and concepts, but they don't teach us about the business side or
Mhm.
administrative.
I feel like it should be implemented in like any program in general. It's important. People don't know these things and people don't talk about these things. Um, but yeah, I fortunately had mentors and people being in my pathway when I was transitioning from like just putting proposals out there to actually having a yes. You know, so Deborah Slater was the first one who said yes, which was the first um, piece that we created, which is called Codornices en pétalos de rosa, or quails in rose petals. And we presented this past summer. And to go from, oh, I want to make, I want to make, I want to make, you know, and to having a true full yes from someone who believed that your proposal was good enough or like something click or something got hooked, you know, because not everyone relates to what you have to say, and that's okay, you know, like it's part of the administrative work as well, you know, to be okay with not rejection, but like to be okay that it is not the opportunity yet for that project to arise,
Right.
you know. But when I started creating, I was very sure of what I was trying to do because I've been thinking about it for a long time, you know? So now I'm having to see who my dances were going to be. Am I going to be in it? Am I not going to be in it? Is that going to affect the performance? So those are questions that you as a choreographer, dancer, do bring to yourself up, because I was already dealing with so much of, like, I was my own administrator, I started my own Instagram, making a website, all of those things that people were helping me to do while I was making work, so, and remembering the choreography as well, because in and making and putting the music together and having to realize people's schedules and stuff like that, so those are things that happen on real time, no one teaches you to do those things. So it was nice to have the translator and David Herrera to, like, kind of guide me to see how to even send an email to someone nicely, and not being too informal but too formal, so it's really finding that
Nice.
balance.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you got help. I'm glad that there was someone to help you and support you. And yeah, I would love to hear you talk a little bit more about your dance company and like what your intention is behind it and
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
what
my.
it's been like to do it.
So Xochipilli is the god Aztecs of flowers, the spring, homosexuals, art and music, and mushrooms. So they used to, back in the days, with my brothers and sisters, they used to have this festival of the mushroom where they would go and sing to each other and say art to each other and claim poetry to Xochipilli and celebrate spring. So that's what you know, it initiated everything, just to know that there was a queer deity god, um, that Mexico, or Mexican people, Hispanic people, were idolizing. I thought that was incredible too, because I saw that connection with me and my teacher. I saw another male figure bringing that tenderness and beauty and control of things, of themselves and body wise. So it was really interesting, so that initiated everything. So my goal is to revolutionize the world by encouraging people of color to dance, um, BIPOC, and all of them. If I'm missing any letters, I put it in there with all my heart. But yes, I really want us to be in the field. Maybe we're not one of the first ones, but we are one of them now. We want to see us there. Representation is key, and I feel like in this art form, um, primarily white, I would say that it needs us, and we were restrained of so many of our dance and culture,
Right.
and history, that it is important for us to have that magic being back, and I feel like it's a great way to be radical. A moving body is just beautiful to observe, and to see a brother or sister claiming their own body through movement makes me really excited, and I want that to be out there in the world, with so much freedom, so yeah, I think that's my intention and mission with Xochipilli, to show our magic and culture, um, because I feel like there's a lot of political statements being made with choreographies, and I support them in its fineness, but I want to showcase what we're able to imagine and how they can be translated or mutated into choreographic movement, and give people a little piece of healing on stage while witnessing a piece.
I really felt that in watching Codornices and Pétalos de Rosa. It was very healing to watch it, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit of it here on this video, and I'll definitely link it in the description in case anyone wants to watch the full video, which I highly recommend people do. Would love for you to share anything you'd like to share about that piece, and if it was about healing or about, as you're saying, like celebrating, BIPOC bodies, celebrating that, wisdom and medicine that we bring when we move. I'm just
Yeah.
curious, like, yeah, what was some of the intention behind this work?
So the piece, well, it originated from the film like Water for Chocolate. There is like this multiple dishes that the main character does throughout the movie, and there is one called Codornices and pétalos de rosa, and the sister has this like love attack, and she starts getting all hot and stuff like that. So it's like magic and food, and I wanted to present that in movement. So the main theme or themes about the piece is tenderness, not only to ourselves but to others. The way we encounter people and we receive them and then give back. It's a two-way street that we have with others and also with our ancestors. Even if they're not on this realm, we still feel the love. We still feel um, the attachment, because it's not gone yet, and it will never be. So that expression of how we love inside out, I wanted to put into the piece, and I wanted to show my dancers' experience or journey throughout the choreographic process. So there's a lot of variations in the movement where, I'm looking down, they're looking up, some people are looking at their hands. So um, it was intentional to see their own journey through what they were doing, and leaving those up for creativity and choice making while dancing, that I was intrigued by, because I put the perimeters of what the choreography was going to be, but ultimately they have the freedom of expressing themselves throughout the movement, um, and yeah, it's about healing, about being okay with those who were let go and those who are still here, because it's a love is a recurrent event. I don't feel like it stops. It's something that it's constantly giving you a motivation to do things, to be. So yeah, I think that's the main concept of what I wanted to create there.
Yeah, and I really appreciate how you give your dancers permission to kind of explore their own movement. And as you said, you create the parameters, and then there's moments where you're allowing them to really explore what feels maybe important or what wants to come through. And I feel like as an artist, for me, that's one of the most exciting things to do,
Yeah.
is to kind of create a space and then witness like what people do and like how they show up. And I love that so much. So it's like really exciting to hear another artist who also is into that, because I feel um, it's so beautiful to witness the intuitive movements of people. And um, I know that there are a lot of people who maybe feel intimidated by dance. I know for myself, it's been one of the things I've been intimidated by. I recently was in a performance in Los Angeles at the Museum of Contemporary Art, and everyone that participated except myself and one other artist, there was only two of us, they were all trained dancers. And I definitely had a moment where I had to be like, it's okay that you're not a dancer. It's okay that these people are amazing. Like, you bring in your own amazingness. But I know that for some people, dance is really scary, really intimidating. So I'd love to hear you talk about that. Like, what would you say to those people?
Snap out of it. Um, That's it is intimidating. You know, most of the times people just dance whenever there is a social event. You know, or like the music is already gonna be something. Like some people go to techno, some people go to like funky night, some people go to like cumbias and stuff like that. You know, but the thing with that is like you're not exploring more language. You know, you're limiting yourself to a certain amount of movement because the cues of the social event do not allow you to do that because you're going to seem off, you know. So when you do in your own time, when you do let yourself, your body to speak by itself without you telling it what to do, many revealing things are going to appear, you know, because the body wants to say things, and we are not allowing it to do it just because we're around people, you know, and it's intimidated to do it in a group, in person group settings, you know, because some people are not in the same journey with their body, with their psychic. Some people don't want to be touched, you know, and it's really intriguing and it's intricate, you know, whenever you as a teacher are trying to teach something like this, just because we're all in different journeys, you know, but also the teacher has to be aware that that's something that is happening to the students. You know, some people don't care and they just start teaching a class, you know, and to find someone who understands that diversity and is playing an important key in their class, it's going to bring a safe space for those who really want to just move, you know. I teach a series of online classes. It's once a month, and I tell them if you don't want to be seen, turn off your camera, you know, and just listen to what I have to say and share with you with this music and like move like a seaweed, and then the seaweed spreads into the ocean, you know, and you start floating. So everyone has capabilities of assimilating these feelings, you know, and these experiences that we've never had, yet we're able to apply into our own bodies. So the body is really intelligent, you know, and it really wants to connect more outside the just the physical, the here, you know. It is able to go into this spiritual or spirituality realm where you're able to connect with your body mentally and spiritually at the same time, you know. I talked to you about this prior to the whole conversation, but like I said before, some people told me when I was trying to meditate, they were like, go to a quiet room and like turn on a candle and like, you know, and like calm down and like close your eyes. And that didn't work for me, you know, that I didn't feel that that was the way that my body was feeling peaceful. You know, I was just feeling really relaxed to the point that I would fall asleep. And they say like, oh, if you fall asleep, it's good, you know? But at the end of the day, that's not the type of experience that I wanted to have. You know, I didn't want to fall asleep. So to put in my earphones on and really just letting go and let my body feel other movement, other music that I've never heard before, you know, playing the radio and okay, I don't like this song, I'm gonna change it. Oh, this is kind of trippy, this is cool, this feels gooey, and then your body starts assimilating those textures and sensations that you want your body to have, you know, kind of like an octopus in a way, you know. We don't camouflage, but we do perceive our own skin, and we're able to have so many connections with our own body that it's really cool to explore.
Yeah, you brought up the word language a few times, and I feel like it definitely makes sense to think of the body having its own language, the body having its own wisdom and knowledge that it wants to share. And as you brought up, sometimes social conventions or ideas around how we're supposed to be or what movement is supposed to look like can stop us from actually getting to witness and feel and experience some of that transcendence, that spirituality that you named, and also to really see how the body wants to move, right? Because it has its
Mhm.
own wisdom, its own knowledge that it wants to share with us.
And also just to be aware that I think I said it before, but to go into the unknown, especially when you mentally don't know where the next thing is going to take you, it's really mesmerizing to see how your body reacts to it, and see, and go deeper. Like, why did I react like that? And what was the exciting thing about it? Can I redo it? Can I recreate it? And most likely not. We are irregular people, no, asymmetrical people, so even energy is asymmetrical. So the fact that I'm doing this with my both hands doesn't mean that this one feels the same as this one. And to recognize that it's not symmetrical, and it's still always in a flow of, just like love, it's always given and coming in, because you're always aware of your body, you just decide to ignore it. And that comes with the social cues. I Right now I need to be sitting down and listening to this person. um but that has to do with focus, not necessarily with, um if you're able to move and pay attention, because some people just can. And it seems in society it seems bad that they're moving because they're not paying attention. It's a lot of, like, perception of what the person think movement means. Some people feel like rolling your eyes is like the rudest thing to do. And some people use moving their eyes as one of the choreography tools. So it's yeah, I think it's the meaning the USNR put to things. And yeah, movement has so much potential that everyone is able to access it, because everyone is a moving body. And even if you're still, your organs, your insides, your muscles, your blood is still pumping and going, and neurons are constantly just beeping thousands of million. So movement is still being originated, even if you genuinely do not want to move.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We're always in flow. And I really love that you brought up that asymmetry. It really makes me think about like breathing or waves, like this, like kind of undulating, like it kind of has a rhythm, but it's not
Mhm.
maybe exact, right? It has its own like process, its own path that it wants to create. And yeah, I'm really happy hearing that, your dance company is really open to the different ways that people learn, the different ways that people show up, and that you're, really honoring that people have their own way of stepping into the unknown. And that I
Yeah.
think that's really important because I feel like, as you said, sometimes, certain dance or even like fitness stuff could feel like really alienating for certain people with certain types of bodies or abilities. And so to have, an instructor who really wants to honor where people are coming from, I think that's really special. And I think it's really wonderful that you're so open to the diversity that people can present with, because I think it
Yeah.
is that's what makes us special too, is that we are asymmetrical as people too, right? I feel.
Really? Yeah, no, and yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of this connotation that it's a real, like, a strict thing that only a few people are able to access because of body capacities. I was able to dance and witness people, deaf people, make dance and make move, and it was beautiful. You know what I mean? Or like disabled dancers who make magnificent things on stage, and film, and it's just able to be translated, because we are all moving creatures, and we all crave for moving and taking up space, and we deserve to take up space. So it is important to claim that, and to make that, regardless of whatever you are in your journey as a person, as a human being, um, you have the right to move, and to move yourself and love what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think speaking, along those lines, I'd love to ask you, like, if someone is watching this right now and they're like curious about your dance company, they're curious about dance in general, and they're also maybe curious around spirituality too, because I feel like you're really speaking to all these, like the culture, spirituality, dance, also connection, right? So if there's someone watching that's curious, that wants to know more, what would you say to them? Like what would you say to them if they're like maybe on the fence or not sure?
Um, if you're between the yes and the no, the most likely answer is yes. Like try it. Even if it's not going to a class, like to a professional studio, put on your earphones, do something that really makes you, if you just want to lay on the floor, people don't lay on the floor. Like they think that the only options are sitting down, standing up, and laying down in bed. That's a different thing. So like, what does your body want to do? Um, and if you're curious about my company in general, my work, my Instagram is Xochipilli Dance Company. My website is also xochipillidancecompany.org. And we do have my classes series there. It's one each month, always new music, and always trying to keep it accessible for everyone. So there is no true charge to the class. It's a donation based thing. So I do it with the love of my heart, So whoever comes. You do not have to keep your camera on if you do not want to be seen. That is something also that I am really aware of. Some people don't want to be seen when they're dancing, that it feels like something very personal, or for whatever reasons, I just feel like that's something good to have in this time and age, that we're able to turn off our cameras. But I encourage you to go, to do it, to investigate, to see why do you like it. Is it the form? Is it the technique? Is it the because I just want to move? Is it because I want to um, connect to people who are dancers? Even if I'm not one, I'm a painter. Like those things matter because it will affect your life and the way you see just um, movement in general. And most of the time, people will be always constantly moving, you know, either here or up there, there is always constant movement. There is, and even though there are moments of stillness, um, it's still producing, there's still something going on. And I feel like investigating what that is for you, it's important. Um, so I want to inspire you to go ahead, honestly, and create art. Even if that means putting a show for two of your best friends, like let's connect online and share our art to each other. Let's read poetry together. Let's write our dreams and let's share them every week. Like it is really the attention that you want to put in the what you're going to find out about yourself. And if you want to know what your creative being is, you need to give it time to grow and flourish into whatever it is. Even if it's not displaying to a museum, you have a piece of art in your house, like I think that's precious.
Yeah, it's very precious. And yeah, and I feel, one last thing I'd love to ask you to share is, as someone who's so involved in the dance community and also has their own vision, their own intention around art, I'd love to hear what your vision, what your thoughts are around the future of dance, like how dance can, be like a resource. Like, yeah, so I'd love to hear, yeah, what is your vision of the future of dance for you?
Um, I feel like what I want is to see how we can take it to the next level where spiritualism or what people believe in, even if it's not spirituality, whatever ideology of life and ancestry and thoughts and beliefs of afterlife are, that they're able to showcase their body's journey through it, and how they are able to um, manipulate space and time, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I love that, I love how people are able to just experiment in having people believing that time is kind of a factor that it's non-existent at this moment, um yes, I feel like that's what I want in the future, just to see how people are able to play with time and how they can mutate this art form into another revolution, because art did dance did play um, a great part in the like revolutions throughout history. So I want to see what the contemporary world will look like, or what dance would look like 20, 30 years from now, because and even my own opinion about it, like what if it changes, so and I'm open to that, because um, I think, okay, after all that I said, I have the right track. There we go. I would like to see that people are willing to go into the unknown.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like there is a lot of literal things going on in life, and people are presented because we have to pay attention to them. But yes, I want to see unknown things, things that make me wonder, Um, and yeah, some things don't have an explanation, but they still exist, and dance is one of them too. What made us be this moving entity that like just can decorate space with their own body, and that excites me. So I want to see where people take it, where I take it, because it's unknown, and I'm okay with that. Being okay with not knowing, I feel like has been a really nice thing where I'm at today in my present moment. And in the future, I would like to see that other people go into like more of that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
I it definitely does. And I feel like while you were talking, I was getting visions of like you were sharing earlier about Xochipilli and like these big festivities of flowers and poetry and
Yes.
homosexuality and the unknown and magic. And so I was really seeing almost like a return to like a communal, spiritual, like movement
Yes.
based,
Yes.
connection to the unknown, right? And I feel, yeah, I love that dance can be a space for that, a space for connection to spirit,
Absolutely.
connection to whatever makes sense for you, as you said, around spirituality, and also to the unknown, to learn, to grow together, right?
Yes, exactly. And I feel like also the Day Them a festival that it's coming up. Buy your tickets. Um, I feel like those are the things that we need, for us to get together and see art and see what people are creating, because you will be fascinated at how people express themselves through their art form or the rituals or whatever the word you have for art is. I feel like it's important for you to share. And yeah, to have those outlets or those like residencies or those things that do allow people to create with the purpose of like having a platform. I think it's important, and the fact that these are being lifted into having not just Instagram or not just um, the one that are available out there for public, and it goes more into like Do you have an actual organization? What is it called? You know, what's the mission of the whole thing? What's the mission of all your dancers and all your collective and stuff like that, you know? um I feel like once you realize all of that, and you have a clearer concept of what you're trying to create and have that platform, use it, you know? And if you don't, get together with a friend and read books and read poetry to each other, read your dreams to your loved ones. You know, it's um dance with them. I really, really, really encourage everyone to dance with your friend, um, alone, and have a truthful experience and exchange of body language communication. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, make a playlist with your friend and show them I found this cool music, you know, and listen to it together. And that itself is art. Life is art. So, yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, I love that. It going all the way from like organized, funded art to do it in your bedroom, like I feel it's
Yes.
beautiful to have that way of entry being in so many different ways, and that art doesn't always have to be professional. It doesn't always have to be shown. It can be private. It can be just
Yes.
for you and one more person, or just for you by yourself. So yeah, so grateful to connect with you, Hector, and just really been so wonderful to get to know you a little bit more, and just so
Likewise.
excited for people to learn about your art and to learn more about your company and about the wonderful resources that you offer our communities. And I'll definitely be sharing about them all here in this video. And
Yay.
yeah, thank you so much for
Oh,
being on Mutant Musings. And I'd love for us to say goodbye to everyone.
thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Edgar, for the invitation. You're wonderful, and I love your work. I'm a big fan. And pues nada.
Muchas gracias. Ahí platicamos pronto.
Gracias.